Happy holidays! Merry Christmas! It's that time of year again, and I'm with Elf 1 and Elf 2. We're here to talk to you about those 12 toys you got to get under your Christmas tree this year. Get ready for a lot of explaining and a lot of fun stuff here with the 12 toys of Christmas. Ho, 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 ho! Welcome back to Christmas time at Moon Audio. Every year I give my 12 picks for some of my favorite toys that I want to have for Christmas. I'm going to show you all the things that I personally use all the time in my systems at home, here at work, and let's get it started. Elf number 1, what do we have here? This is the Matrix Audio SP-Diff 3. There's two versions. There's still the number 2, which is on sale right now. I would grab it while you can at a discounted rate. This is the new improved version 3, Matrix SP-Diff 3 USB interface. That's a mouthful. What this unit does is improve the sound coming out of your computer. Computers weren't meant to be used primarily for audio, right? So the power supplies are very noisy. This unit will create basically a brick wall to shelf off all of that noise and improve the sound from your computer. What this also does is give you the ability to use a USB out from a computer to an older DAC that doesn't have a USB connection. This provides a whole lot of different types of digital outputs from the unit, so no matter what DAC you've got, we've got you covered with this unit. So let's take a look at the inputs and outputs. Obviously, you're going to connect it via USB connection on the left-hand side here from your computer. Next to that, there's a power supply connection. I recommend picking up the external power supply. Not using the power from your computer over the USB cable will add an extra layer of resolution to the sound and keep things even quieter. Then we've got 4 different digital outputs to go to your DAC. Whether you've got AES EVU connection with the XLR or SP-Diff Coax RCA, SP-Diff Toslink, or we've got the I2S. This will provide the best sounding signal path if you have that option, so I would recommend that first. Then in the order that I went over before, the AES would be next, best sounding, then the Coax RCA, then the Toslink. This is a great problem solver, one of my favorites. It's used on my desk every day with a Cord Dave. I love this piece of tech. Pick it up. Take it away, Elf 1. Elf 2, what do we have next? Oh, here we go. We've got some dongle DACs. Dongle DACs are the easiest way to upgrade not only your portable setup, but also your home setup. You can use this at home as well. What these are little digital to analog converters that are powered off of your phone or your computer, whatever. There's a bunch of different adapters with each one. This is the Astle & Kern HC2. It will come with a USB-C affixed to the dongle DAC, as well as a lightning connector to use with all of your Apple iDevices, like your iPhone, your iPad. Then we've got the KANN RU6. This is another really popular one right now. This one has an external cable, so you can change out your connections to whatever you want to connect to. They also make a lightning cable attachment, but that's sold separately. Make sure to pick that up if you're using an Apple iOS device. These are the cheapest, easiest way to improve sound in both your headphone listening and your home listening. So with the KANN RU6, you've got both a single-ended 3.5 and a 4.4 balanced output, and you've got your USB-C connection on the input side that comes from your computer, your phone, whatever. This also what's really nice about it is it's got a display that will tell you the different types of resolution that are coming out of your device. The Astle & Kern's a little simpler. It's got a fixed USB-C connector on cable and connector on it. You can use the adapter to change it to a lightning connection. It's only got the 4.4 millimeter balanced output, so you got to make sure that you've got a balanced headphone cable for your headphones, because this one doesn't do single-ended. We make all kinds of cables that can connect this to your headphones or to your 2-channel system. We can do a 4.4 to XLRs and RCAs. We got you covered on cables on both of these. All right, Elf number 2, take those away. Next up, Elf number 1. What do we have here? interconnect cables, and these are our dragon cables, and I'm not going to get really specific as to which cable to pick, but this is the single most important cable in your audio system. If you want to make the greatest change to your system in terms of cabling, the interconnect is one of the most important in the ability to change the tonality, improve the resolution, etc. And we've got all kinds of different interconnect cables, the blue dragon, the bronze, the silver, the black. Each one has a different tonality. Make sure to check out our sound signature guide on our website to tell you a little more about each one of the tonalities. But this is probably one of the most important cables in your system to change and improve the sound of your audio system. We've got some more cables coming from ELF number 2. These are also very important. These are headphone cables. This is the last piece of the puzzle before the signal gets to your headphone. This and the interconnects are two of the most important cables you should change out in your system. Again, lots of dragon cables to choose from. Bronze, silver, black, and blue. Each one has a different tonality. We have all kinds of connection options, like on this one. We're using this for the Focal Clear headphones. It's got the 3.5mm on one end, and for the other end, we've got the balanced 4-pin XLR for your balanced headphone amp. We have a whole plethora of audio connectors for your cabling. Make sure to check out the Dragon headphone cable widget if you can't figure out which connectors you need for your headphone. This goes into a lot of detail of helping you choose based on music preference, headphone type, amplifier connection type, and so forth. So these are the Silver Dragon headphone cables for Meze and Odyssey headphones. And again, the 4-pin XLR balance connector for your amplifier. So interconnects and headphone cables, two very important cables that you can make a big change in your audio system. Take those away, ELF number 2. ELF number 1, what do you got for me? The Astel & Kern KANN Max. This is probably one of the best bang for the buck digital audio players that we sell at Moon Audio. It has everything you could ever need. This, while we wouldn't necessarily call it an endgame device, the bottom line is it has so many features and can do so many things that I could easily live with this the rest of my life. It is the most powerful of all the digital audio players that we sell. So if you've got hard to drive headphones, this puppy is for you. At the same time, you can tone down the gain and it does a wonderful job with IMs. It's got the longest battery life of all of the digital audio players that we sell. It's got a really good size screen. So if you've got thumbs like me and you can't get to the buttons, it's got a good size screen to get to everything. Very easy to use, graphical user interface, very simplistic approach, very important. This uses a modified version of Android. They've made it very Apple-esque, if you will, just easy to use to get around. Not a whole bunch of apps for all kinds of different things like email and whatnot. They've stripped it down, and the only apps that you can use on this really at this point are streaming apps. Very simple to use. Lots of inputs and outputs. We've got the 3.5, the 2.5 balanced, the 4.4 balanced, USB charging and data, as well as being able to use this as a DAC with your computer. Lots of bells and whistles. This is one of my favorite digital audio players, the KANN Max. Check it out. Thank you, ELF number 1. ELF number 2, what do we have next? One of my favorite DACs. Don't let this size fool you. This is the Chord Cutest DAC, and it is much bigger than its size would dictate, based on how wonderful it sounds, how much it can do for you. Just about every resolution you can think of, you can throw at this thing, it can do. In the connection sides, dual BNCs for connecting to a Chord M scaler to even bump up resolution up all the way to the top. It's got USB input. It's got coax Toslink input. Coax dual BNCs, which can be used either with M scaler or with another digital input from a coax like your CD player. And then it's got 2 single-ended analog outputs. Just because it's single-ended doesn't mean it's not as good as a balanced DAC. It all comes down to the circuit design, and what Rob Watts has done with this Cutest is amazing. Huge bang for the buck. Without a doubt, our number 1 selling DAC. I would check out the Cutest. It's really cool and cute. Thank you, ELF number 2. ELF number 1. I'm going to let you place this on the table because I don't want to hold it. It's a little heavy. This is our number 1 selling headphone amp. It has been around for a long time and it is still heavily used by myself. It is the Dragon Inspire IHA1, designed by Dennis Hadd, the founder of Carry Audio. He can't sit still. After he retired, we got together and said, let's come out with a really cool headphone amp for Moon Audio. So this is a Moon Audio only exclusive from Dennis Had. It's got the purest analog signal path you can think of. So you've got a analog input on the back. From this, it goes to a pair of Lundahl input transformers. Those input transformers clean up any potential for noise on the line coming into this amplifier. It's also improving the resolution and bumping up the gain stage so that you can drive more difficult headphones like an HD800 that's got a higher impedance that you need more volume control on it. So from the Lundahl transformer, we go into the DAC step attenuator, where we're only going through one resistor. It is the cleanest volume control I know of, so that your signal is only passing through the minimum amount of resistance. From there, we go into the 6S7 tube. This is where all the glory happens. And because this is really 80% of the signal processing, if you will, this tube can be changed out and you can dramatically change the way this headphone amplifier sounds. You can change to a tune that's really warm and glorious sounding, or you can get one that's really tight and dynamic. So the easiest way to have fun with this amp is to change out the 6S7 tubes based on your preferences and based on the headphones that you have. You can change the coloration. So from there, it goes to the output transformers and onto the headphone jacks, balanced XLR or a 1/4-inch single-ended. This is an SET design, and it is single-ended by nature, but with the output transformers, it doesn't care whether it's single-ended or balanced, and it can give either signal for you. These transformers are very custom wound to our specifications. They sound amazing, and this is one of my favorite devices here at Moon Audio. Not only can it be a headphone amp, but you can also use it as a preamp with your speaker setup as well. There's a switch on the back to change between headphone output and preamp output. One of my favorites. Take it away, elf number one. What do we have next, elf number one? We have the Chord Mojo 2. This is probably one of the coolest products that we have here at Moon Audio. It's the second generation of the Mojo. Incredible bang for the buck again. Great Christmas present. This will turn your headphone listening or your 2-channel listening and step it up a couple of notches in terms of performance. It will do DSP functions where you can adjust the EQ curves to tailor towards your type of music. It's got all kinds of gain stages for depending on what kind of headphones you're using. Lots of DSP processing going on here. One of our favorite devices here, and thank goodness they've now added the USB-C connection type here, which is so much easier to use, and our favorite of the USB connections. You've got dual headphone outputs if you want to use with 2 pairs of headphones. Just make sure that they're the same headphones so that the volumes of each headphone aren't dramatically different. You'll use the ball structures for changing through your input, output, DSP corrections and all kinds of stuff like that. Volume adjustment, power on and off. You can put it in line out mode so that you can use it with your 2-channel stereo setup. You've got on the digital input side, you've got a USB, like I said, either C. You also have the older style micro B still on here. You've got the Toslink input as well as a coax mini digital input on the right side that we make a special cable for so that you can connect not only to a CD player, but also you can do the dual BNC connection to the M scaler just like you can do with the Qtis. Yes, this little thing will work with the M scaler. Who's going to buy a $5,000 M scaler to go with this $700 DAC? I will. Anyway, love this product. One of our all-time favorites here at Moon Audio. Check it out, the Mojo 2 by Chord Electronics. Thank you, Elf. What do we have next? The counterpart to the Mojo, its nemesis, the IFI GRYPHON. Make sure you check out the video that we did on the Mojo versus the GRYPHON. Each one of these has a lot of the same similar features. This adds Bluetooth, it adds a display, which is really cool to be able to see all the things that are going on with your music, like the resolutions and so forth. This has a few more bells and whistles, like balanced outputs, not just single-ended outputs like the Mojo. It's got a different tonality. You know, I find the Mojo a more resolute, more analytical sounding. This is a little warmer tonality. So if you want a more musicality sound to your system, then I would take a look at the IFI GRYPHON. But it does a lot of the same things that the Mojo does, but just in different fashion, a little bit cheaper. It's got the Bluetooth. The Mojo 2 is still my #1 pick for portable headphone amp DAC, but this is a close second. I would check it out. So let's talk a little bit about the inputs and outputs on this device, because it's got a lot more than the Mojo. Not only can you do digital inputs via the USB connections here, you can still do SPDIF, either coax or Toslink, but now you've also got the ability to do some analog inputs that you can't do on the Mojo. So that's really attractive about this. And then on the front, we've got the 3.5 millimeter single inlet output and the 4.4 millimeter output for balanced operation. Then we've got some controls on the other side to do some DSP functions like increasing the bass and stuff like that. Really cool device. Looks like a flask. No alcohol in it though, unfortunately. Thank you, Elf. What do we got next? So now we're gonna take a look at some headphones. This one's been around for a long time, and why I keep coming back to it, the bottom line is it's one of my favorite bang for the buck, closed back, incredibly comfortable, great with all times of music, the Fostex TH900 MK2. This is probably always going to be on my Christmas list. It's got the beautiful red colors, just like Christmas, this little bow right here. It's got a very, I find, linear sound from top to bottom. The mid-range is a little recessed, but there are a couple of versions of this. For example, the Pearl White and the Brilliant Purple have a tipped up mid-range. But this is one of my favorite headphones of all time. Price no object. It's not the end game headphone, if you will, but it does so many, it checks so many of the boxes for me. I love this headphone. It's so light and comfortable, I forget it's even on my head. And it matches my hat. Thank you, Elf. What does my other Elf have for me? Here is another great bang for the buck. This is the Clear MG by Focal. It is a, without a doubt, true, perfect value, great bang for the buck headphone out of all of the headphones we sell. It does so many things right for an open back headphone, whereas the Fostex was the closed back. It's got a lot of detail, a lot of clarity. It's got a warm presentation. We recommend the Silver Dragon with the Focal MG Clear if you want to add some more detail and resolution and try and get it to the Utopia-esque sound, if you will. It won't get it as close to the Utopia, but it will help. The Fostex that I had here a second ago, you can do either the silver or black. It's sort of in the middle in terms of tonality that you can go either direction depending on what you want to do. If you want more resolution, go with the Silver Dragon. If you want more bass, and the same with this, if you want more bass and bottom end kick to it, go with the Black Dragon. But the Focals, incredibly comfortable, very soft, velvety pads. I love to wear these for lots of hours, just like the Fostex, very comfortable. This should be high on your Christmas list. We make lots of cables, like I said, for this headphone and any termination you need. Check out that Dragon widget if you're confused as to what to pick. Thank you, Elf. What do we have here? This is the last on my list. And as always, my favorite headphone, the Utopias. And these are the new 2022, which are much warmer and romantic than the previous generation. An incredible sounding headphone. Great tonality, great detail. It's hard to do detail and musicality all at once, but this is one of the few headphones that is just incredibly musical and incredibly detailed. My all-time favorite headphone ever. Out of every headphone I've listened to in the last 20 years, can't imagine living without this. This is a staple in my house at home. Whenever I'm stressed out after work, I go home, chill out, listen to some jazz with these Utopias. Complete bliss. So that is my list for 2022. I want my elves to bring out all the cool toys so we can check them out again. These are my favorite things to use during the year and to get under my Christmas tree. Most of these things I already have, but hopefully some of these new ones will end up under my Christmas tree so I can play with even more at home, not just here at the office. Check out these cool toys. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them below. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you, elves. Make sure to like, and we'll see you next Christmas. I hope everybody has a wonderful new year, and we'll see you next time.